Joining me now is former White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thanks so much for your time. When we spoke about this time last week after Charlie Kirk's assassination, we were just starting to see the political and social effects of this. JD Vance, for him, obviously it's very raw, but he has a position of power here, and he's called out the radical left for celebrating Charlie Kirk's assassination. Give us an idea of what it is like in America, because I've seen, Democrats, elected Democrats, absolutely denounce this murder. But where is it coming from? Where is the celebration of this murder coming from?
Yeah, Laura, it's a really good question. And, you and I have talked about this before. If you really want to see the worst in society, you can find it. It's there. It's easy to find out on social media. And there are some just really horrible things being said about this assassination, from some elements on the left on social media. That being said, there's a lot of discussion here in the center, left and right together, talking about figuring out a way to move forward where in a world where political violence is not accepted. It's not the norm. It's not celebrated by anybody. And there's a lot of folks who are having those conversations. Not everybody. Donald Trump is not going to be the unifier in chief on this. That's not his thing. That's not his strength. That's not what he wants to sort of do. He's not the only one. The Democrat governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, was called out by the Washington Post, a left-leaning outlet by any means, for his terrible response to this and his aggressive response to this assassination, sort of blaming Charlie Kirk for his own death and so forth. So, look, there's been a variety of responses. I think one of the most important things that we're going to deal with in this country in the next 4 or 5 years is these next 90, 120 days. How do we respond to this? Is it let's figure out a way to get along better, or, oh my goodness gracious, maybe we need a little retribution? Look, I have no difficulty with having the force of the government come down on domestic terrorists, left or right. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, I think that should happen. I'm talking about whether or not the rhetoric changes in the political realm. And we'll have to wait and see on that.
Do you think Trump's leaning towards a policy response here?
I don't know what they would do. They've talked about going after some of the left organizations for racketeering, which is a legal classification here, sort of what you use to go after the mafia and so forth. And they're right. Look, there's some facts that I know a lot of people don't want to talk about. When we have civil sort of unrest in the United States of America, there are some groups that miraculously bring large blocks of bricks. I'm talking hundreds of them in strategic places throughout key cities where there happened to be civil unrest at that particular time. There's folks paying for protesters. Those things deserve to be investigated. I'm not trying to argue against that. I think a lot of the question is the rhetoric. If you come out and said, look, we're absolutely going to get everybody that hates us, that's one thing. You say, look, we need to figure out a way to come together. We are going to use the entire weight of the government to come down against domestic terrorists. I think there's a middle ground there that could be had.
There's a section of the far left that seem to be getting wrapped up and a little bit confused and lost in their own morals as well. I've seen ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk in the intervening week, you've seen detractors of him put up posts where he probably wasn't his best self in a debate. Now, I think the far left, I should say, is trying to put these examples up of Charlie Kirk that don't show him at his best and show him when he probably was a little bit intemperate, and trying to pretend that, any political outspoken commentator needs to be perfect at all times. That's what I think is perhaps most insidious here, where, social media isn't perfect. Anyone on social media, there are missteps all along the way. But, when you're using the example of Charlie Kirk, they're saying, look, he wasn't perfect. Well, yeah, no one is.
Who is? Look, you and I talk for a living, right? We're going to say stupid things from time to time. I've probably said half a dozen already. But what many on the left are doing is say, oh, here's Charlie Kirk at his very worst. This justifies his killing. Oh, my goodness gracious. Right. That's the jump that they make. Look, Trump derangement syndrome is real. And it extends beyond just Trump to sort of this MAGA world. And there's a lot of folks who believe that the ends really do justify the means. They do believe that Donald Trump is Hitler. They do believe that the Republican Party is now the National
Yeah.
Socialist Party of Germany of the 1930s, and that political violence is okay to stop that. You and I have had this conversation now for what, 2 years, 3 years, maybe?
Yeah.
That there are elements of the left, not everybody. Look, it's not the Democrat Party. It's the extreme left wing of the party, the extreme populist wing of the party. But there are people out there who are absolutely thinking that not only is this okay, but they want more of it.
I think the great tragedy of this, Mick, I wonder if you agree with me here, is that Charlie Kirk was practicing a modern polity or politics that young people were certainly re-engaged with. And it is really hard to get young people engaged with particularly conservative politics. He found the niche. He was able to do that. And whilst, you can find any clip where perhaps he wasn't perfect, he didn't do it with a spirit of meanness. He did it with the spirit of, these are my principles. I do not waver from them. I want to convince you, but look, how you live your life is up to you, but I don't disagree with it, and this is why. And he went onto these college campuses and didn't cower away. And the thing that makes Charlie Kirk different from everyone else is that he was brave enough to go and do that and look people in the face and tell them that he disagreed with them. And that's what most people on social media don't do.
Yeah, the good news is there's a lot more people other than just Charlie Kirk out there doing that. You don't hear about them because there's no money to be made in normalcy. There's no energy in normalcy. All of the money's to be made in extremism and outrage and those types of things these days. If there's anything, though, that I think bears watching, it's this. Is that Charlie Kirk had set up, I think, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, so give me a little bit of latitude here, several hundred Turning Point USA groups on school campuses across the country, a couple hundred. I think it was 900 is the number I sent. They've had over 30,000 inquiries in the last couple of days from groups all across the country wanting to start these new groups on school campuses here in the United States of America. I hope they do it on the right. I hope they do it on the left. And I hope that these young people actually lead this country back to a world where we can have civil discourse.
Great chat, Mick. I'll send you a clip. A couple of years ago on this program, there was the start of Twitter, and Peter Van Onselen actually was hosting a show. He invited some of these trolls onto his program on live TV because they were relentless. And I'll let you guess what happened when they came on TV. They weren't as brave. We'll put it that way. I'll send you a clip.
Fold like cheap suits. That's
exactly.
Right. So anyway,
we'll
thanks.
See you soon, Mick.